The Ancient Hebrew Wedding, Part 7, The Queen of Heaven. In keeping with the trend of bringing heavy subjects, as in the previous teachings 5 and 6, it is time to share with you who the Queen of Heaven is. You have heard me mention this to you several times now, or you have just heard the term Queen. We have been programmed to believe through the English translations of the Bibles that this term is something that is evil. What if I shared with you that it was completely taken out of context and the identity erased due to a patriarchal system that suppressed that of the divine feminine? I'm hoping to shed some light on this, but it could sound very controversial depending on what you have been indoctrinated with. I will do my best to bring this concept forward, but this may be a parting of the ways within our journey of teaching and learning together. I am okay with that, and I send blessings to you if this is the path you choose. But for those who want to press in, let's continue. Before moving on to the Queen of Heaven, there are two more things that I needed to add that are connected to the previous teachings, 6a and 6b. In Revelation chapter 14, verse 4, when we spoke of the qualifications for the 144,000, this verse also contained the word Bethula, as well as a status change shown as Aleph Yod Tav. First, let's look at Bethula as it reads here with an added Aleph instead of a Hey. So they, the metaphorical virgins who are set apart in seclusion, received the Father's teaching, did something with it by activating, and now they have been sealed as one, as the family of God, who are teacher shepherds that guide and lead from that which they learned. They are no longer as beasts, but of those who have become one, who speak forth revelation in this material world. Now moving on to the Aleph Yod Tav, we have an activation added to the status change that has been added to the suffix. We can see that those who had a vision placed within through the power contained in the letters of light, Aleph through Tav, as a metaphorical sun who is a bride, they open their hand to receive the right hand of power. Carrying the Father's revelation and teaching, they will be revealed as the humble and meek, having gone through the fires of purification which raised them from being poor and destitute to become first fruit leaders who compress light within the circle of time, the inward sun, through the hidden that has now been revealed, which is the Father's teaching. They are in the flesh, having wrestled the spiritual path through the activity of life which produced heirs to the kingdom while they were in the material plane. They are the married, supported and hedged in, who have been pierced in the heart and humbled by the spiritual words spoken, the language of revelation, that empowered them as the marked through the covenant. In the end, as having crossed over the threshold covenant, they will be snatched away. I could say so much more about this one verse, but that will have to be for another day and time. There's only one other subject I would like to add a little bit more to, and it has to do with Atem. Tav Mem does mean twin, but there is one more addition that we should bring forth before we address Queen. Tom also has the meaning of being complete, usually morally pious, gentle, holy, dear, also as coupled together. Atem, here's the Metaology edition. The family of the covenant, the Aleph Tavs, the Begat, who are above the waters of chaos, are surrounded and protected by the Father. They have become one with the covenant, at one-ment, atonement, coupled together as one, making them complete, pious and holy, devout, gentle, and dear, and coupled to the Father, now being fully surrounded and protected. Every day, new revelations arise, and if I have anything brought forth in my personal study time pertaining to these teachings, I will release it so that we can all have a greater understanding of who we are as the called. Now it is time to address the Queen of Heaven. I suggest that you empty your vessel and forget everything that you have heard regarding this title. Let's dive in together. There has been a missing piece of the puzzle for thousands of years, a piece that is very important within the context of the ancient Hebrew wedding, one that has been wiped from our collective memory that we need to discuss and bring forth once again. We have been speaking of the divine spiritual wedding that happens within ourselves, but even something much higher and greater than that. If we are the bride and we are waiting, then what is the final step? The final step is to be married and to become Queen of Heaven. Those of us raised in Judeo-Christian tradition have always held to a singular deity, El, God. But through ancient history, there was a feminine counterpart, a wife to the masculine deity. This partner was known as Asherah, the Lady of the Sea as the Mother Goddess. Sea is the Hebrew word Yam, and that will be important for later. Many of us have heard the phrase, as above, so below, and as below, so above. And it's something presented to us and has been by Thoth. Remember Tav, Vav, Tav? Many scholars, mystics, and spiritualists have quoted this to us, but they have not seen this within the context of the singular God El. There has not been a partner to God, or at least most of us have been taught to believe this. In fact, anything that has been associated to Asherah has been pictured as evil and that it needs to be erased entirely. However, now that we are at the time of the end, truth is being revealed to us so that we can see more clearly that which they have tried to hide from us and wipe from our collective memory. Cuneiform texts found in the second millennium port city of Ugarit speak of Asherah as the partner to El, to God. She was known as Earth Mother and fertility goddess. Historians and archaeologists have pieced together Asherah's story and found large chunks of it that had been interwoven in the artifacts and in the scriptures of the ancient Hebrew Bible. Evidence suggests that Asherah was observed in ancient Israel and Judah as early as the 12th century BC, to a few decades before the fall of the southern kingdom of Judah around 587 to 588 BC. This means that in David's time, a man after God's own heart, Asherah was recognized. It also should be stated that an Asherah pole was part of the equipment in the Temple of Jerusalem. Her death blow was in the time of Josiah, 2 Kings 23:6. Her symbols, whether by pole, totem, or statue, represented the great cosmic principle, one as love, an ultimate symbol of unity through union, becoming one. The poles were symbols of the tree of life, and often prayers were uttered as, O merciful one, in the image of El. Aleph, Lamed. She was also named Kadesh in Egypt, which is from the word Kadash, meaning holy, to be clean, morally and ceremonially, as one who has been made, observed, and pronounced as clean consecrated, and set apart. Through metaology, we have this: the set apart, holy ones that have been made clean, as observed and pronounced and consecrated as ones, have compressed light within the inward sun in the circle of time by that which was once hidden and is now revealed. Father's teaching. They went through the inward door where it was revealed to them. Where they once were in spiritual lack, they were shown the deliverance so that they could be marked with the sign and signature frequency of the Father's covenant. They were purified by fire, by a consuming vision that gave them the power, means, and direction to overcome the fallen flesh of the material world. You may find it interesting that several words have the same gematria, a total of 402, including this word, bat, daughter. We have spoken a great deal already about daughter, as that is found within Bethula. And any time that a word has the same gematria total, they are correlated and have something to do with one another. The next word is Shabbat, and this Hebrew word has a meaning of 7. And in this form, in order to equal 402, it has an added lamed on the prefix. This word is found in Scripture. And it should be known that the number 7 in biblical numerology means divine, spiritual perfection. Then we have another word found in Scripture, ban nashim, which is another word for wife, who is a son. So the Kadesh are the divine, spiritually perfected teacher shepherds of light, the metaphorical sons who became daughters and wives. This should help connect dots from previous teachings in the series. There are many other words associated that could be a teaching in of itself, words that are associated with Kadesh, but I still have much more to share on the topic of Asherah, the Queen of Heaven, that we began with. Just know that Kadesh is connected to Asherah. As I was researching this, I will share what I found. Asherah is mentioned in the early Hebrew Bible some 40 separate times, and although most of them has been mentioned as an object of derision, by and large, the biblical writers were unhappy that Asherah shared the same platform with Yahweh, which I am spelling in the correct order. They repeatedly tried to dissuade Asherah and Yahweh's pairing. As much as the ruling elite tried to deter and hide Asherah and Yahweh's marriage, their union appears in an ancient blessing seen with regularity at a number of excavation sites. This inscription reads, "I have blessed you by Yahweh and Asherah." Not only was this engraving found in a 9th to 8th century BC in 1975, while excavating at Kuntalit Ajrud, I am sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, archaeologists unearthed unique artifacts at an Israelite caravanserai, which is an inn for travelers that had a courtyard. Among them were 2 large pithoi, as pictured here, storage jars that weighed about 30 pounds each. Written across the top was Yahweh and his Asherah. The same text was found in a number of sites thought to be sanctuaries of Yahweh, such as in Samaria, Jerusalem, Timan, and in the biblical kingdom of Judah, at the ancient burial site of Kerbet el-Kum, dating to 750 BC. In one article I found, it was stated that the phrase Yahweh and his Asherah actually appeared in the Hebrew Bible itself. That this cryptic, hidden, and secret blessing is an early rendition of Deuteronomy 33, verses 2 or 3, 2 and 3, when Asherah's influence had not yet been fully made of a lesser rank or importance. This reads, Yahweh came from Sinai and shone forth. He came with 10,000 of his holy ones, at his right hand his own Asherah. Holy ones, the Kadesh, the queen, the wife, a collective group who are from his right hand, just like Yeshua, his people, from bride to holy Kadesh wife. There also was a burial inscription from Khirbet el-Kum, 8th century BC, found in the Museum of Israel right now, and the inscription reads, Uriyahu the prince wrote it. Blessed be Uriyahu by Yahweh and his Asherah, for from his enemies he has saved him. So what does this mean for us today? Let me show you a portion of a verse found in the Song of Solomon. Song of Songs, also known as the Song of Solomon, we have chapter 6, verse 9. I have circled for you the word here, Asherah, as well as queen. We also have the word Banot, the metaphorical daughters who are sons, which we previously discussed in part 3 of this teaching series. Earlier on in this verse, we also have a few words that I want to show, but one specifically, the root of Tom, the twin covenants. It's the twin covenants of the living water teachings of Mother and Father that you enter into so that you can be born again, that are coupled, making one complete and perfect, as one who has been marked with the signature frequency of the Father's covenant, possessing the power of the right hand. There's always so much more that can be said, but I want to really keep us on track so that this isn't terribly long. The Blessed Queen. Before we fully connect the phrase Queen of Heaven, let's look at the word translated in English as and called her blessed. The root of this word is Asher. It's Strong's 833, and it's a primitive root that means to be straight. It's used in the widest sense, but especially to be level, right, happy, figuratively to go forward, be honest, and proper. So I also want to mention that through gematria, having the same letters this time and the same number total, which means that these words are connected to each other, the symbols are in just a different order. We have the word Rosh. Rosh, which means head, top, first, chief, and first fruit. So Asherah, as queen, she would possess these qualities. So what made her the blessed queen? Let's look at the phrase, of the one who bore her. The root is Yelad. Do you remember where we discussed the Aleph Tav and Begat from part 4 of this series? This is the same word. In that teaching, we were discussing that to be begat or born through the Aleph Tav, the instruction manual was to raise children in the way they should go. So let's take a look at what this is saying. Please listen to the words. Without instruction in teaching you how to do this, you may be lost in attempting to work it out in your mind how this interpretation is brought forth. My suggestion is that you would just listen through your heart and spirit. Here we go. The teacher of light, a spiritual mother, will bring forth a vision meant to birth you anew, given to an open hand that receives. This is the inward door to walk through, full of revelation that will deliver you. It is this vision, when connecting to it, it will pierce your heart and fill you up completely as you become one who is set apart and now set above. In connecting within your heart, this brings forth the light in you. As you learn and grow from the teachings of Mother and Father, you in turn teach them, becoming a shepherd teacher of the way, of the inner door, through the covenant that delivers you, a new creation. This change will be marked with the sign and signature wave of the Father, and they will carry this revelation that brings forth the family of God, those who carry forth the thousandfold anointing because they tamed their beast ego nature, yoking themselves to the one family, and they will be revealed. As a first fruit leader that was raised from being the poor and destitute, as the family of one who is a strong leader, having the Spirit within, they have connected to they have been connected to the inward fire burning that raised them up as they continue to compress light within, the inward sun, in the circle of time through the hidden which has now been revealed. They will be revealed and seen as the sons who are daughters. These born-again ones have spiritually built their temple as the empowered of the right hand. I'm sorry, I lost my place here. As the empowered of the right hand through covenant, they chose the spiritual path while in the material world, where they wrestled within. The life that it created was one who is an heir and a seed that has been planted, filled completely with humility and meekness. These were marked with a different sine wave frequency, that of the Father. These are the honest, blessed, and happy ones who took the straight path, the level-headed who prosper. They are of the fire, having become it, purified as one, the family of God, raised up to lead. They walk and are led by humility, as they connected to the Mother who presented the powerful vision that they opened their hand to receive. Now, as a meek one standing, given revelation by the Father, they will be revealed as queens. They partook of the honey, the sweet teachings that were bitter at first, building them up to be shepherd teachers, who now have the staff of authority that they use to urge others on to this path. They grasped a hold of the power that is within the spoken words, the language of spiritual revelation that is in the earth material realm, filling them up completely and connecting them to the mark, sign, and signature frequency of the Father as Queen. These are the begotten, the born again, and will be seen as the revealed, the daughters that are the blessed queens who are one with God, as God. We are and are becoming the wife, partnered, mothers in the earth who are fertile, because they birth spiritual children, to beget, Yilad. They are connected and completed, as one seated at the right hand, just like Yeshua, in his likeness. We will do greater things because we will be releasing the Father's teaching as mothers, kings who are queens, Melchizedeks of righteousness. If you are watching this right now, this is for you. This is the path for the called, if you choose it to be. Can a person change their stars? Most definitely, so you can become as one, seated in heavenly places as queens of heaven, the holy ones, at his right hand.